Helen has fostered many dogs a lot of people would consider impossible regarding adoption, either too aggressive or too sick or too wild. This video features two of those dogs, Roscoe the Border Terrier and Stella, an old, ill shepherd. A shelter on the coast of Maine couldn't handle Roscoe, but Helen decided that she would try, and so she went down and picked him up and took him in. By the way, my old Greyhound and Pug rescues, Muse and Molly, are the dogs you see in the video on this hot day. Helen's dog friends are off to one side, snoozing.
I went down with a friend of mine. She was picking up a foster. We got her foster into the car, and Roscoe had to be kind of encouraged to get into a kennel, and we carried the kennel out into my car and drove all the way home. And when I got home, we carried the kennel into my fenced-in backyard. And so I had him on a leash, and I brought him into the house, and the first thing he did was run to every single door that led out of the house, and he would try to get out. He would just jump up on the door and try to get out. And if I followed him, when I followed him, he tried to grab him, he would turn around and bite me. So the first night, I got bitten one or two times. But even that night, he started to settle down because he gave him a very good supper with my dogs, and let him out took him on a leash walk to let him poop. My dogs were loose out in the woods. He was on a leash, and we brought him back, and he spent the night by himself downstairs. And then the next morning, he got another good meal, and he already started to settle down. It was really amazing how quickly that turned around. So we started with just just basic manners, and sit and wait at the door because he didn't have very good door manners. And I swear, within a week, he became such a lovable dog. He would give me kisses, and this is a dog that was crazy in the shelter. He just hated being there. He had just been given up by his owners. He claimed he had no behavior issues, but he was obviously very scared and obviously very lonely and missing his family. And but he settled down I swear, within a week. He was a normal dog, and I had him for a few months. We had some inquiries, and they didn't pan out. And we were getting on to about 4 months that I had him. And I was actually getting to the point, just thinking, he's really fitting in kind of nicely. And maybe I should adopt him because we had become really good friends, and I really loved him. I'd never had a terrier before, and I loved his personality, and I loved his little body. He was very, very sweet. And as usual, that's happened with a lot of my fosters. Just when I'm getting to the point where, I'm about ready to give up, somebody, a doctor, shows up. So this adopter called me. We talked. She was all excited, and I told him his biggest problem was getting his nails cut. But I managed to take him to a nail cutting event and held him while he got his nails cut. So when he got adopted, at least his nails had been done the once. And I met the adopter in Augusta. I drove down to Augusta to meet her. And he was so treat oriented that he had no problem. He jumped into her car. She had a blanket on a heated seat. This was in the spring, so on a heated seat. And I had a bone for him, or some kind of a treat to work on, and he completely ignored me. He was ready to go with her. Wow. And so he got adopted, and I think it was maybe 6 months, 8 months, maybe even a year later. I happened to be down in that area. He got adopted in Hartswell, so I gave the woman a call, and she said, "Sure, come on over, come see him."
Oh,
And
that's
it was so
wonderful.
wonderful. We stopped. I had Dylan and Kizzy with me, and he came tearing at us like as if he was warning us or something like that. And then he stopped. And it was obvious that he had recognized us. And so the dogs all got together. They were sniffing each other, walking around. He played the tour guide for them. And I saw that he was, and the fact that he's on this beautiful piece of land and he was not fenced in or tied up and he stayed, showed me that he really settled in very well. So
what a
he
great
went from
story.
being petrified to being the best cat, the best.
There was an old dog at the Waterville Humane Society. He must have been 14 or 15 years old, a shepherd. It was found as a stray. And they were desperately on their website saying, please, somebody adopt. We'll drop the adoption fee. This dog deserves to be in a home for the remainder of its life. So I think I waited a day or two, and of course she was still there. Her name was Stella. So I called them and I said, I'll take them. I'll take her. And I drove down there and I said, well, I don't know how long she has left. She may not have 6 months, a year maybe. Who knows how much time she has left. I said, the one thing though, and I did give them a donation. I did, they dropped the adoption fee, but I gave them a donation. But I asked them if it would be okay for me to bring her back when it was time for her to go. Would they take on that responsibility? And they did. It was very nice. So I took her home. I think it was like August or September time of year, and she came through the winter, and she had this wonderful howl. She didn't move much, she didn't walk very well, she didn't exercise, right? So she was really very easy, at least for a few months. But whenever she would hear something, a car driving up the driveway, she would, oh, it was really wonderful. I loved to hear that sound. But after, I think I had her for about 9 months. She had gotten to the point where she couldn't get up, and I couldn't lift her. And I didn't want to leave her outside just so that she could pee and poop outside.
Right.
So I realized that the time had come, and she was pretty much going deaf and blind, and yes, and not being able to walk at all, not moving at all. So I knew her time had come, and Waterville honored their promise. I called them and I brought her down, and a friend came with me, and they euthanized her and kept her, and that was it. But it was wonderful. I'm glad I did it. I love to have an old dog in the house.
Ah,
Yeah,
old dogs.
old dogs.
Yes.
She's wonderful, Stella.
Mm.
Stella! Oh!
Hi, I'm Maggie Davis. I make videos and podcasts on behalf of animals in need. Maggie, S as in Sam Davis at gmail.com, 207-266-7673. Recordings are made in person and long distance, in depth or on the spot. If you are an animal rescuer, foster, or adopter who is home to or has been home to animals formerly in need, be part of it, as private or as public as you want to be. The Open Wide the Door Smartphone Conversation Project. Your story matters.